What is going on, everybody? We are the Samurai Reviews, brought to you by Kazuya Cam Production. We are your hosts. We have Brett over here. We have Jonathan, and then me, myself, and I.
So,
we're reviewing
Ad Astra. Ad Astra is a movie with Brad Pitt in it. It's about Space Odyssey movie. Just saw it, so we're going to review that for you.
If you're a first time watching our review videos...
What have you been doing this whole time?
Yeah, get on the page, guys.
Yeah,
like,
the trains are rolling. We already got
108, I think.
So
an 8?
Yeah, 108.
Yep.
Superstar status.
We're getting there.
We're already past 100, so...
Yeah, so like, you know.
Be one of the OGs.
Yeah.
Samurai OGs. Join now.
Yep.
Before we hit that 1,000, which is like, I don't know, probably 2 days.
In our review videos, if it's your first time, we like to start off with a non-spoiler. And going into our spoiler reviews, we'll make sure you guys know when we're getting into our spoilers part of the video.
Also, if you don't trust us, timestamps below.
Yes.
Yep.
Like, share, subscribe. That always helps. Comment down below if you have any suggestions, any fixes, adjustments you'd like to see, or any other movies you'd like us to watch. We also do video games, so that's also something to keep in mind. If you have a game that you don't really know if you want to buy or not, we can do like a quick stream or something, or a review on it.
Walk through it.
Yeah, whatever you guys want. So put it down below, and we will put it on the list.
You can follow us on Instagram at Samurai Reviews 0. That's where we will be posting when our videos are posted on YouTube.
Yes.
So check that out.
Nice.
So let's get right into it. Ad Astra. Brett, you start us off.
Yeah. Okay. So, Ad Astra was, well, let's start it this way. If I told you that there's this movie coming out, and it's got space monkeys and moon pirates, and it's like mostly in outer space, you'd be like, that sounds insane, right? No, it's boring as and and it's so much more slow paced than that. And essentially, you know what an Ad Astra is it's just a space odyssey movie, and it'll slowly move you through space. The most interesting thing in the movie to me, I think, would be the visuals that they provided you. Like, it was really fun to see, like, you know, the moon and the stars and space and, you know, all the planets in outer space. Like, you get to have some sort of encounter with most of them, and it's pretty. It is very pretty to see. And so the most interesting part about this movie is, you know, the scenes of space and of the planets, and how, you know, we have started colonizing them, or whatever you want to call it. That's the most interesting part, as well as kind of like the background lore. Sometimes they'll talk about something in passing, or someone will be talking about something in the background of a scene, and you'll kind of be like, what did they say? That sounds pretty dope. What's that? And then they'll just bring you right back, and this is the boring part, to the main plot. And the main plot is basically, it's frustrating because they have this movie
little
with
kid trying to find his
papa.
His papa.
It's basically 5 in space. So they have this really unique world that they've created, and you can see it in those passing instances. And that's why I was really disappointed in this movie, is because then whenever they have these moments where they say something and you're like, that's really unique, that's really cool, I'd like to know more about that, they bring you back to one of the most cliche things you can do in a movie. A son that followed in his dad's footsteps and is trying to find him. He thought he was dead. Wow. Congrats. Like, it's so basic, really annoying in this movie particularly, just because you see those unique elements in it, and you see the possibility of something way more than what they give you. They remind you of the cliche plot way too much. It's another thing. They'll remind you over and over again that Brad Pitt has a father, and his father is a god. Like, they treat him way too like, everyone knows who he is, conveniently. Yeah. So they'll remind you over and over again that Brad Pitt has a father, and his father is a legend, and everyone conveniently knows who his father is, and conveniently is also their inspiration for working, which like is hard to buy, because even in like football, if there's a couple like Jerry Rice and Tom Brady, but no one ever just says like Jerry Rice or Tom Brady. Like, people have different reasons for getting into football. They would have different reasons for getting into some sort of astronaut program or space program. So that was just really convenient, a convenient way for everyone to know who Brad Pitt's character was, and just to tie in everyone's emotional connection. It's kind of cheap. The dialogue in this movie is really, really boring. Like I said, the most interesting parts are the dialogue that you're not necessarily supposed to hear. So having like, when the background dialogue is more interesting than what you're specifically talking about at the moment, that's the problem in your writing. And they also have things where in this movie where they basically make the deaths pointless. Like, I was just thinking through them, like, right before we record this, I was like, there was a good substantial bit of, like, I wouldn't say core characters, but, substantial characters that, kind of meet their ends in their journey in space, and it doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah, like their deaths doesn't really push the main protagonist.
It's a fun, kind of exciting, entertaining but meaningless distraction, is all they ever serve to be. It's just not well written because of those things. So Brad Pitt's acting in this movie is great. He's a great actor. I really think if this movie didn't have Brad Pitt, it would be lower than it already is. The visuals, like I said, were really good. There's some scenes I'll talk about in the spoilers where like it's really like wow, this looks amazing. They do actually a really good job of disorienting you sometimes in some of the more high action-y scenes, which I really like, because you're supposed to feel disoriented. You're in this space, you feel like you're getting spun around or whatever. Like, they do a good job of making you feel that connection to the character that they're portraying, and I think that's another one of the strengths of this movie.
The camera work.
Yeah, the camera work was fantastic. But yeah, other than that, this movie falls flat. In a movie about space, there is a lack of wonder that space movies need. This one doesn't have that. And, because of all those things, I give it a 4 out of 10. And it's not worth seeing in the theater. Or a second time. I would say look at it just for like the visuals. And if you really like space movies, like this might be something you think about renting when it comes out on DVD or whatever, or gets out of the theaters. But other than that, I don't see a real need to see this movie in theaters.
Yeah, I can go next because most of my points kind of follow what Brett was talking about.
Cool.
This movie is kind of back, just like their spine of the movie was basically Brad Pitt's acting, camera work, and the visuals. And the camera work and the visuals were more 50-50, where it was good sometimes, where it was extremely good, and then it wasn't good.
Just boring.
Yeah.
When there is movement in the scene, that's when they shine.
Yeah.
When there's none, it's flat.
Mm-hmm. Very flat.
Yeah.
Eventually, the dialogue scenes between Brad Pitt and somebody else. But if it's just Brad Pitt alone and he's doing his monologues, I was actually really into those scenes just because it was Brad Pitt's acting that just drew me in to those scenes. But when it's like him talking to somebody else or him talking to like other supporting characters, like actors and stuff around him, it wasn't good.
He gave his character a sense of charisma that you naturally gravitated to.
I'll get into more of the spoilers of what I liked cinematography wise and like just the camera work and how they kind of played it out. But the story was very slow build for me, and but there was a story, there was a payoff. It was a good pace, but it was too long of a pace, and then there were obviously points where it was just too boring. I almost fell asleep twice in this movie. After watching this movie, I can honestly say that I will never forget Roy McBride is the son of Clifford McBride. Like, I don't know how they just want to put these names
like I'm supposed to already know them
into your head,
Yeah.
So going into my rating for this, I'd say it's the same. It's a 4 out of 10. Like what Brett said, it's not worth really watching again or watching in the theaters. I'd say if you're a filmmaker and you want to kind of study like the camera work or the artsy side of like this movie, because it did have that,
moments.
I'd watch it to kind of observe and learn, or try to figure out their technique that they did for shooting that scene.
Another thing that I thought they did well that I forgot to mention was the audio. I thought they really played well with the higher tension parts.
It was quiet. Some parts where
it's like really tense
quiet.
and it's like just silent because it's space, and it really plays well with that. But again, to your point earlier, like when they're not, doing anything, it's flat.
They really put a lot of thought into the universe, which I really liked. But obviously they don't expound. Yeah, they don't expound on this in this universe that they build of our near future that they have. That's mine. 4 out of 10. Jonathan, go away.
Cool. On this one, I as usual, I did enjoy it a little bit more than these guys did. It's definitely a very slow, drawn out movie. But I think in today's age with all of these like super actiony, nonstop movies, Hobbs and Shaw type movies, I actually kind of like just being able to sit back and just kind of relax through it. And they had moments of tension where they'd bring you in and you'd be like, oh, what's going to happen? And then they, obviously in the spoilers, I can go more into those. But I did like how it was just kind of a smooth ride through it. Another reviewer I heard called it a slow burn kind of movie. And I totally would agree with him on that.
That's another term for boring.
I wasn't ever bored with it personally. I can definitely see how some people would be. But visually, it's amazing, as they had said. The acting from Brad Pitt and others were, was pretty good. And it always like drew me in. And I was never like every word he said, I would like hang on it. And yeah, they're really good. They're really emotional and you feel it. And there's just this like sense of something off about the world and the other worlds. Like when you're on them, the people just don't seem normal, and they have this again more in the spoilers, I can go into that. They have this weird kind of system of how they're working, and you just kind of think, oh, is that what'll happen to humanity if we do go away from Earth and things are all different. And then there's also the whole thing where it's like everything changes, but they say more things change the more they stay the same kind of aspect of it. So yeah, and the main story is a very simple one. It's one that's been done before, of course. It's just done in a little different way here. But again, I wasn't upset by that or kind of put off by it. I enjoyed it. It's very simple, went through, but there's a lot to look at and a lot to see, and it was good to listen to. So for me, I'd give it a 5.5. It's just above an average movie. It's not exactly memorable. And that's kind of the only issue. You just kind of sit down, you watch it, you leave. That's all you got. But yeah, it's a little bit above. I would actually say to go see it in the theater if you're someone who's into space and is just into a drama with a little suspense kind of movie. But if you need some more action or you need some more...
I would say even just like a more sense of tension or entertainment. Like, I think this movie really lacks.
It did bring in the tension, but then it just
and then it would just be like,
drops.
And then it doesn't have any bearing on the story later on.
Yeah.
Like there's no real like I don't know, I guess consequences to the tense moments. It was just kind of more of a distraction as you're learning that Brad Pitt is the son of Clifford McBride.
I will say this movie does give itself. It opens doors to many future movies that they could just do like little spinoffs where
He's
they
not
have
going to do
so
it.
many more.
The director's not going to do that.
But
I wouldn't
don't
really care much
anticipate
if he did it again.
But yeah, there's definitely, it does open a whole world, a whole universe of ideas that could be played off of, and just kind of gives you glimpses of those. But then it stays on this, one main course.
On the most boring course.
If you're into more of a laid back drama type movie, then I think you would like that, especially if you like space. If not, then definitely stay away.
Cool. And that comes out to a samurai review of, but 4.5, right? 4.5.
How's that work?
Ooh. Yes, now it's the spoilers part. So
Spoilers. Alert.
I guess buckle up or hold on
Strap
to
in.
something.
Put your space
We're
suit
blasting
on.
off.
We're going into spoilers.
Spacesuit
To
engaged.
infinity and beyond. And beyond. To infinity and beyond. I'll start with my goods. I kind of pointed them out because the goods are pretty vague in this movie because I feel this movie was pretty vague of a movie. But yeah, it's the visual stuff and the sound elements of the movie are the best parts. Specifically, there's one scene just it kind of like opens up on where he kind of like walks out of this. I don't know, space tower.
Yeah, it's like
it's on Earth, but it's like really, really tall, and he's kind of working on it.
It's like a space elevator.
Maybe, who knows? But he walks out, and it just kind of like follows him as he kind of like leans over the top of it, and like I think Josh looked at me, and he was like, "Whoa,
I'm afraid of heights."
But that's that kind of disorienting nature.
Down, I was like,
yeah,
man.
That's that kind of disorienting effect that it has on you, and it's good. Like I liked it. It was kind of like riding a roller coaster here and there, but it's like if the roller coaster was like 5 seconds long, and you're just like okay, that was fun. Come on, guys.
Isn't that the one in Vegas?
Let's get back in line.
Vegas,
Oh,
where it just goes back and forth or something like that. I'm pretty sure
know
that
that.
a ride in
on the
Vegas
top
like
of
that.
the stratosphere. They have the one where it just goes and stops as you're hanging off and pulls you back down.
Yeah,
It's like that, but less.
That's exactly like that.
The other one that I was thinking of is the moon scene, and this will kind of play into the sound element of it. So they're on the moon. It's obviously really silent because they're out just riding across the moon's surface, and the moon pirates come in, and you're like, moon pirates? Tell me more. And so they start shooting, and there's this like, and it's low gravity, so everything's kind of slower, and they're all like, they're on our tail. It's such a weird paced scene.
Yeah.
And you're just like on the edge of your seat because you're like, oh my god, like what's gonna happen if they get shot? And like he has like a hole in his suit, which is meaningless. That doesn't play any part of the story. Like it was just really weird. He was just like, oh, I have a hole in my suit. Now I don't. Go on. Like it was just like a little detour. Yeah. So there was just this tense scene. They're getting shot at. He's like running into cars. A person dies. It was just like the soldier dies and he gets shot in the face, and they kind of set him up a little bit in the beginning.
And then Brad Pitt just like
he just throws
him off
him
and then takes the driver's seat.
And when he gets away, he's like, "Hey, the guy's body's back there," and then you never hear about it again. Yeah. That's one of the deaths that is just kind of like, okay. I mean, which you can have some of those, but it's every single death, and it's also like the deaths are always just like, "Oh, he's dead now." It's never like like you see him dying and you're like, oh no, he's good. Oh no, he's dead again. Like, you know,
it's not like a Yondu death from like Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Yeah, it's not touching because you don't have that connection to him. And they try and do some. I'll point out that in my bad, but like they try and do something like that later, where they try and give this touching moment, and you're just like, I don't know him. So yeah, this moon scene, it's really slow and like low gravity, but the tension is still there in the same way that it would be on like an Earth car chase scene or whatever. And then there's one part of it where they just spin out and like kind of sound like the orchestra kind of stops, and you just hear like the silence of space and him breathing as their car is spinning really, really slow down like a cliff, and then they land, and then it picks back up, and it's just like the way they play with sound in space. I think they do very well with that. I think it's great. So yeah, that was one of the more interesting scenes. But then after it just kind of ends, and then they like shoot missiles out of nowhere and blow up the moon where I'm assuming the pirates were. And then that's about it. And it just kind of like, it's one of those moments where you're like, can we go back to that? Like, I want to know how the moon pirates got up there, because it seems like it's a military personnel thing to get up to the moon. Like, normal people can't just go up to the moon. Or can they?
No, they can.
Yeah.
Remember all those people in like
yeah, but it looked like a military operation.
Well, I think how they were kind of setting it up is they were saying it's a moon without borders.
Yeah.
So there's no real borders.
There's like mining colonies.
So yeah, there's different, it's kind of like a game, it could be a really cool game.
That's
like
what
Red Faction or something, where it's like there's different factions and they're just fighting for territory.
Well, that's what my point is.
But you have to assume it because they don't really
tell
expound
you.
on it. Yeah.
And like all I've seen is like, all I know is, this person's a military person on the plane, and that's about it. And they don't say like, oh, we'll put you on, this flight with these people. So do they just like go up there, and then once they get there, they're like, all right, where are the other pirates at? Like, I don't I have so many questions, and it sounds really interesting to find out. Like, you know, getting recruited by pirates or whatever.
Or even what the tower in the beginning was there for.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I still don't know.
Working on?
Was it like sensing? Oh, also, this is how the movie is. It's just kind of like, it's a bunch of like, what is this? There's like this surge that's hitting the earth, and that's kind of like what they're trying to stop because it's causing power surges and it's like killing a lot of people, and it's being sent off by one of Space Command's previous missions where his dad was on it. And they don't really explain it. They're just like, oh yeah, there's this thing that we sent out, now it's hurting us, go fix it. Pretty much it. And you're just kind of like, why? What is it? And how'd you create it? And if it's that powerful, like, why is there any weapons ever? Like, that just seems way too OP if it can hit you from like across the solar system. So anyways, Moon Pirates, cool. Sound, cool. Bad though, which I kind of already touched on a couple, because that's kind of the problem with this, is all the good is short-lived and then it brings you back to the bad. The cliche storyline, of course, is just boring. Yeah, so the bad was just the lulls in any sort of entertainment. So yeah, the drama elements in the movie are like, they're just not, the only thing dramatic about it is that he's the son of Clifford McBride, and I'm just kind of like, I get it. Find me something else to care about. Like we said before, the dialogue is just, the characters don't really stick around for me to care about any sort of interaction he has.
Oh yeah, like that one lady.
The
where
Mars.
she's all like, "Your father killed my parents."
Yeah, and then that's it.
And then she's like,
"It's like, all right, I'll drive you to the rocket.
Take you to the rocket."
Yeah.
And I'm
that's
just
it.
like,
you're like, okay.
hmm.
Those.
Okay.
They had like,
like
depth,
the guy
but then
that
you just like ignore. You just like walked
Yeah,
away.
the military guy that drove the thing and got
he had,
shot.
like,
He
his
was talking
family's
about his
picture.
family and stuff.
And then he's just like, oh, he's dead.
Yep, and
Oh, he has pictures. He had a picture. Okay, he's over there. And then he just gets off. And then the other guy that went on him with the mission, do you even remember him?
nope.
I don't know his name or anything. So there's this elder.
Oh, the old guy
older
that
guy.
played like the villain in the Hunger Game or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was a friend of his father, and he was like, I'm going on this mission with you to watch over you. And then he basically, like, after the first flight
to the moon.
dies. Why?
Well,
Anyone? No, because they don't say. He's just like, or I guess he doesn't. They don't say he dies either. They're just like, he's like, I gotta give you this. We don't have too much time. And then he's like,
He goes in the surgery.
once he gets on
Dead.
the ship, he's like, hey, can you check on his progress? And they're like, oh, he went in for emergency surgery. And that's the last you hear of him. And they set him up as this big kind of like moral character to kind of guide Roy McBride. And he just doesn't. It doesn't really do anything except like talk to him and give him this file about his dad. So, yeah, the deaths are meaningless. The dialogue is boring. The Mars scene is what I was going to actually talk about, where like they're just talking in this room, and they talk in this room for what seems like at least 30 minutes. And you're just like, oh my God, I get it. Go find your dad. Just go find him. Get out of these,
please.
get out of this red room. I'm so tired of it. And
Or even like the room that has like the holographics around
Yeah,
him
and-
with like the birds. Or
yeah, and I
whatever
was
it
like,
is.
I get the symbolism you're going for, but it's just like my head hurts at this point, and I just want to see space again. But yeah, the last thing I'll kind of bring up, because I'm sure they'll bring up more that I'm thinking of. I just don't want to take everything. This is why I need to go last every time. The last thing I'll bring up is what I was talking about before, or I preluded to, was the father death. The one death that they really try and make you feel something. And at the end, the father just wants to die out in space, and obviously Roy doesn't want to let him die, but has to like cut his tether or whatever. And it's supposed to be this emotional scene, and I'm like, I don't know who Clifford McBride is.
Just
I've
because
seen him in
just
two
because you
videos.
say his name 150 times
Yeah.
doesn't mean we care for the freaking
I know
guy.
his name, and that's about it. I don't care. Like, he's just drifting off, and I'm like, okay, I get it. He's in space now. Can like turn around and get back to your ship or something. Like, they also follow that up with like the cliche, create an explosion and fly off. Like, that ship definitely wasn't created to be like, okay, it's a one-way trip, but we're gonna provide this nuclear weapon so you can blow yourself back. All right, there you go. Like, I don't understand. Yeah, did he really? I mean, I guess he wanted to get back faster, but like he had that like kind of cryo setup. So anyways, I could keep going forever. I'm trying to cut myself off now. There's a lot in this movie where I'm just like, there's a lot of questions it raises, and that would be really cool to find those answers.
Yeah, it does have a more realistic thing where just stuff happens and then they have to move on from it, and it doesn't really have any bearing on it. But I feel like, it's kind of more like life too, or, shit happens and you just gotta move on past it.
Yeah, monkeys bite your friend's face off. It happens.
So that's kind of the whole thing, is I just have to keep trudging through this. No matter what happens, you just have to keep moving forward. And that's kind of the whole point of it. Ad Astra is actually the whole phrase
means
in Latin.
Addition with asteroids.
No. It means, I don't remember the exact phrase of it, but it's like a struggle through to get to the stars or something like that. Like a difficult voyage to the stars or something like that. So that's exactly what the movie is. It's just about this journey of the son getting back to his father through the stars and all the stuff that happens between them. I enjoyed it. I had a good time with it. I definitely think there could be more, but I think it did what it meant to do. My negatives are just that it's not memorable, and that they could have had. I agree, they could have explored other elements more.
I think there are moments where movies do really well with leaving things mysterious and leaving things up to assumptions. But I think this movie doesn't do that well because the things that they do offer you are too vague and cliche to be anything worthwhile. Mm-hmm. While these assumptions could be, but because of what you've shown me so far in terms of the vague and cliche moments, why would I assume that they were anything greater?
I think Brett kind of covered my favorite scenes as well. When he kind of jumped off the tower and he was free flowing down
trying to
the
out.
Space. Yeah, I guess he was trying to. Yeah.
But
so cool. The camera was circling away and around him, and then it cuts out, and then it's a wide of him just going, circling, and then
camera was great,
and then it goes back in, and you're just oh gosh, and then it just keeps, and then it just does that for a little bit, cuts in and out, and then it just stays there. Mm-hmm. And when he blows the parachute and all the debris and stuff, and then I was like, wow, this is great. Watching the trailer and going into this movie, I was like, oh, this is going to be such a lame movie. And then that first scene happens. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a great movie. Yep. And then the rest of the movie happens. You're like, oh, no, I was right the first time.
See, I was going in. The thing I told you guys multiple times going in this movie was, this looks cliche as hell.
It was.
And then the first part of the movie, I'm like, I leaned over to you at some point and I was like, well, it's definitely not cliche. Yeah. And then the next scene, I was like, never mind, it's cliche. Yeah. Dang it. I thought we were moving towards something else.
Yeah, like I said, I did like the world, the universe that they tried to set up in the near future.
Yeah,
that was
the
cool.
lore that they set up was sounded so interesting. Uh-huh. And it could be absolute trash, but it sounded pretty cool, and I want to know.
I mean, they have an airline for you to go up to space. Yeah. That's pretty cool. But watch out for pirates, I guess.
Or join them.
Yeah. Anyway, my other scene that I did that kind of really built that suspension was they're on their way to Mars and they have to stop on this other shit. Yeah, on this Mayday because of protocol and stuff.
They never played Dead Space.
Which for me, I'm just oh, something's gonna happen. It's very cliche. Obviously, something does happen, but it was this something that happened was
space monkeys, man.
Yeah, space monkeys. So this ship was this biological testing thing. Yeah. And
on animals.
We're just oh, it's a Venom ship where there's
what it reminded me of?
Life. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I liked Life.
I actually did like Life as well.
Life was really fun. Anyway, so Brad Pitt and the captain go on. And we're just oh, something's definitely gonna happen. Which it does, where the captain's just kind of there. He's floating.
And you can't see what's happening.
You can't see what's happening, and he's and then he's Captain, and then the space monkey was basically in front of him. He goes, and I'm just I did not expect the space monkey.
I was this is gonna be about space monkeys. Yes.
Just building up to that scene, and then kind of what happens after, where Brad Pitt locks the door and just them up. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed that part. I also enjoyed the them racing on the moon.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt like slams on the brake, and
It's
then
like-
like the other guy just like floats
I
right
like
in
how
front
slow
of
it
him,
was, and then you just
and
see
then
him,
it
like,
just
hit
and
it,
then
and
it
it's like,
just crashed
Yeah, the
into like the
physics are
solar
really
panel
cool in it.
things,
Yeah.
and I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
but the
Moon
problem
physics.
with all those is just like as soon as it's over, it's over.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have a bearing on the story anymore. They don't mention it ever again. There's no reason for that to have happened, and so it's just this really fun distraction, and that's all it serves as, and nothing else. I thought for a second that they just did like a negative positive thing and just like sand dunes, and they just made the dunes white because the background was just like space black,
You do get like a Mad Max.
and
in
they were
space
all
film.
in white and just had gold visors,
Mhm.
so there wasn't a lot of color to it. So they could have just taken out the color and just done it on like some sand dunes maybe, but like I don't know. I don't know. It looked good.
That'd be cool to see the special like extra features.
Yeah, it was kind of intriguing. I want to really see what they did in the background, well, behind the scenes of it. But that's about
That's another thing.
all I really want to see. This movie is just the behind the scenes of it. Oh, I didn't like Roy's just relationship with his father. I really thought it was unnecessary. They could have totally done a different story and made it way better with like the universe that they build up for it.
They could have dropped the father thing entirely.
Yeah. With how compelling
Yeah.
Brad Pitt is as an actor, like they could have done so much more, and it had potential, and they screwed it up. Yeah, even like the dialogue between the father and son, like Roy and Clifford, it was so two-dimensional. I did not feel any emotion behind it. The only emotion I felt was really when you're getting inside of Brad Pitt's mind and he's talking to him. Well, like he's putting out the recording for like his evaluations or whatever, and you kind of see his like
What
emotions
he's actually thinking.
like building up, and what he's actually thinking. He says that out loud. I was like, man, dude, this guy's really good at acting. Like that's basically our review on it. Samurai Reviews. That kind of wraps it up a little bit. Cliche movie, boring,
But pretty.
but pretty. Yeah, visually pretty. We like the camera work with it.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching our review on Ad Astra. We're the Samurai Reviews. Check us out. Our other movie review videos if you haven't seen it before. Game streams. If you're into gaming, we do gaming stuff as well.
We would like to do more, but those aren't nearly as popular. So if you want more, tell us and we'll do them.
Stay tuned for our other movie review videos. I think we have Joker coming in next.
Ooh, that's gonna be.
And then we have the Gemini Man with Will Smith coming out. That should be interesting. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, so stay tuned for all those. Hope you guys enjoy our movie review.
Like and subscribe.
Yes.
Signing off. Samurai Reviews.
Signing off.
Are
we doing like a
signing off.
Signing off.
Signing off. Signing off.
We're just like